Welcome to Prepper Nation. I am John. Thank you very much for being here. Whether you are brand new to the channel or you are one of those usual suspects, appreciate y'all checking it out and hitting subscribe. Also, really quick, Aaron Johnson, thank you very much for supporting the coffee and sponsoring the coffee this morning. The Mean Bean, I appreciate that. Lots and lots of comments on yesterday's video. I'm going to link yesterday's video down below in case somebody missed it. It was kind of controversial. It was about 50-50, if I'm being honest. Some people love the message. Hey, we got to come together at some point. It can't always be us versus them if we're going to move forward as a country. Other people are sticking to their guns on it, and that's okay too. I totally respect that viewpoint. This morning, however, we've got to talk about how bad things are going to get in 2024. We hear it all the time in the prepping community. You hear it here as well. It's going to be bad, son. Buckle up. I'm always telling people to buckle up. Get your diapers ready. It's going to be bad. It's going to be a crap show. But how bad? So, even though you keep hearing it and I keep saying it, I'm one of the creators that's literally telling you 2024 is going to be one of those years you're never going to forget. It's really hard to get up here and explain what's in my head, because I'm thinking worst case scenario. I think most preppers should do that. Worst case scenario. What I'm thinking about, can I portray this and can I explain it with words? And it's really hard to do. Um, but yesterday I was on social media, which was probably my first mistake. It is what it is. California and Texas were trending. And I didn't know if this was you know, I didn't know if this had something to do with something political going down, if shots were fired, so to speak, between governors or something like that. But California and Texas were trending, and I had to click it. I said, "What is this all about?" Well, on April 26th of next year, there's a movie coming out called Civil War, and I said, "Okay, this looks interesting. I'm going to check this trailer out." And as I was watching this trailer, I said, "This is exactly what I've got in my head. What I can't seem to explain here at Prepper Nation. When I think worst case scenario, it was all jam packed into this trailer. And number one, I can't wait for this movie. But number two, I'm wondering where we're going to be at as a country when this thing releases. Um, again, middle of next year, April of next year. So there's several keys from this trailer that I want to talk about this morning, and then we're going to apply it to the real world, right? Because that's Hollywood. That's Hollywood. Um, in the trailer, it says 19 states have seceded. I think that that's a pretty accurate number. If we're gonna, somebody mentioned balkanization yesterday. If we begin to see that, to me, that's roughly the amount of states that would be interested in jumping day one. Um, the White House during the trailer gave a warning to the Western forces. This was very interesting. The Western forces of Texas and California. So apparently in the movie, Texas and California have been joined at the hip and they've become their own nation. And, they're an independent nation, Civil War, and also the Florida Alliance. So apparently a lot of smaller states have went with Florida in this. And I mean, there's the inner city chaos throughout this trailer that's going to be reminiscent of 2024. I think if we see any kind of major event, which I think we will. The flag was redone with 2 stars for Texas and California, and it's specifically mentioned in the trailer Empire's Fall. There were a lot of refugees moving on the sides of highways and interstates and stuff like this, and there were tanks in the streets of the cities. And we often talk about national divorce here or balkanization here in the United States. And we often talk about how it's not going to look anything at all like the original Civil War. And it's easy to get up here and say that, but people may not know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it's going to be entirely different. This trailer seemed to hit all of those points. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be a North versus South. There was a lot of air power in this trailer. That's something that they didn't have to worry a whole lot about, right, during the first Civil War and things like this. There was a scene in the trailer where a bunch of refugees, I guess characters in the movie, had their hands up and they're like, "No, there's been a mistake. We're Americans." And there was a US soldier saying, "Yeah, but what kind of Americans?" You know, this would be the vibe within the militaries if there were any sort of balkanization and stuff. But folks, what really struck me about this trailer as I was watching it, I'll link it down below for those who have not seen it. Um, we could be living this next year. We could be living the same situation that I saw in that trailer. Now we could be. It doesn't mean that we will be, right? But if there's a national divorce, and I'm going to shoot straight with y'all this morning, there's a likelihood of that because of the presidential election. As I've said in the past, there is no good outcome. You know, whether Biden is running against Trump, there's no good outcome there. You know, I get a lot of people are for Trump, and I would definitely vote for Trump in that situation. But you need to understand if Trump were to win, half the country is going to lose its mind and things are going to get violent. On the flip side, you know, if we had Biden for 4 more years, to me, that's not a good outcome. If Liz Cheney or Gavin Newsom or somebody fills in, you know, over on the left, to me, that's not a good outcome. All right. If we get Nikki Haley rather than Donald Trump, that's not a good outcome. There's no good outcome. The election of 2024. And I'm sorry for being so negative about it, but I'm telling you, that's going to light the powder keg no matter what the results are at that point. Um, and then just the other day, a couple of people were mentioning, I haven't seen it. Y'all, I got to be honest with you, I have no desire to see it. It's some movie or some TV show that was developed by the Obamas. I think it's on Netflix. We don't have Netflix anyway, but again, I have no desire to go and watch this thing. But a couple of commenters were saying TV shows and movies sometimes can be prophetic, meaning they're showing you in advance, this is coming, this is what we're going to do to you. And as I'm watching this trailer, because again, it was very realistic compared to what I have in my head, I said, you know, is this coming in 2024? Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it is because I have no way of knowing that, but it was almost surreal watching this trailer, watching the air power, watching these camps of different soldiers. I think California and Texas were heading toward DC. They had most of their forces going to DC. It was showing small town America here and there. It was crazy. Is this what we can expect in 2024? You know, I don't know. I'm leaving it up to the chat to decide on that. Is this one of those prophetic things, or is this one of those deals where they are telling you in advance, this is what you can expect next year or maybe the following year if the election goes one way or the other? What I do know this much, our society hangs by this much. Um, Two elites get into an argument. We could be living during a time of civil war. One trade deal goes the wrong way. We could be looking at civil war or boots on the ground invasion. One powerful person gets pissed off, and that's all it takes, really. One misplaced rocket when they're doing a show of force or war games or something like that, and it can all break loose. This much, that small amount is holding society together right now here in the United States. We're one event away from total chaos, whether it be civil war or otherwise, right? Most people in the United States of America, though, they don't get that. And they don't get that it's that way every single day. Every day when you wake up, you're that close to total chaos, right? And all you can do is prep for the worst and hope that that little bit doesn't get snipped somewhere again by some foolish leader or some invasion somewhere else. But most people here don't realize, and not at Prepper Nation, I'm saying in our country, they don't realize or they don't care. And I think that's what separates us from the normies. As we say here at Prepper Nation, the zombies, the people, non preppers. That's what separates us. That's the difference mentally. I think some people are wired like we are, and they look at the world and they realize, okay, we're 2 steps away from chaos. I need to be prepared for anything and everything. And then most people, your normies, they care more about reality TV. They care more about the newest things coming out, electronics and things. And they're not really focused on, hey, the world can collapse at any point in time. So think about the state of our world right now. As we head into 2024, which again is going to be very, very nasty. Think about this, all of the chaos in our world. Our world's never perfect, right? But think about all of the chaos from Europe to the Middle East to all the escalations in the Taiwan Strait and now South America. All of the investment by the Chinese and the Russians in South America, the border chaos and all of this stuff. And then throw in what's going to be the most heated presidential election, I think, in the history of the United States. This is going to be more heated than the presidential election where Lincoln was elected just prior to the Civil War. I think things are going to get even more nasty here in the US. The future of America, whether we become a communist state, whether we fall into the global empire similar to the EU, whether we remain a constitutional republic, hinges on the results of the election in 2024. And when I think about that, who wouldn't prep? You gotta be out of your mind not to be prepping at the end of 2023. You know what I mean? Like, there's just no excuse at this point. So if you're prepping, good on you and congratulations. And yeah, again, I'm being a negative Nancy this morning, a gloomer and doomer, as I hear it called sometimes, and I don't care. I'm thinking about the worst case scenario. And you want to know why? Because that's how you survive the worst case scenarios. You can't prep for lights out for 2 days. That's the worst case scenario, and then survive a year without lights, without electricity. You can't survive a civil war unless you are prepping like there's one, on the way. Not again, not saying there is, but if there is, I wanna be prepared. Um, it's surreal. We may be living this movie that is coming out in April. Again, I'll drop the trailer down below, but let me know what you think in the comments. Are they trying to tell us, little peons here in America, this is coming? Are they setting the stage? Is it prophetic in any way? Or is it just another Hollywood movie of gloom and doom? Y'all let me know. Take care. God bless.